Everybody, the campaign is coming to a close. Could you roll a d20 and tell me what the heck got us here? What are we doing rolling here into the end of Dicey Waters?
I preemptively rolled, and I got 16.
Do you want us to recap the whole thing?
We only intended for this to go for what? A year, maybe two, so...
I got a nat 20, so I choose Colin.
Oh,
Fitting.
I got a 16.
Oh, shit.
Although I guess that doesn't matter.
Okay,
Wait.
I'll be back in an hour.
Hold
Have
on,
fun,
wait,
Colin.
can he do that?
Yep.
Hold on, I don't have papers to
You know what? I'll allow it.
I will also. I'll second it.
As one of the game masters in this campaign, I'll allow it.
As the person who introduced the rule, Ryan, I think your voice has much sway here.
It's only fitting for the last episode for
That's the
us to
thing
pull
is I
this
don't
kind
want to
of
do it. I
shenanigans.
don't want to do it, but just like the producer in me is like, you have to do it.
You have to do it, bitch.
You have to do it, bro.
Do it. Be a little bitch. Do it.
Previously on Dice Populi, we
escaped from Farpoint
escaped from Farpoint. You guys rolled down a hill.
with a big ass head.
You guys rolled down a hill with a big head and you stole a boat. It came in the night. There was a big monster, but who was really the monster? It's Maeve. She murdered everyone and you guys ran away. Blessings Eve. You made a wish. Trouble in Paradise. Josh dipped and you found bait in a tree and then you guys sailed away.
Second chance.
Second chance. Thank you. Colin wrote the best music he'll ever write in his life. And you guys did the same day 3 times in a row to learn that a guy was kidnapping kids through time for some strange reason. You killed him, you saved the kids, and then you took off. Oh, and Bait met Lema, a god.
You met Lema.
And Mr. Krabs.
Locked and loaded. After trying to help pierce the tear, Locke gets kidnapped by the Black Tide, so you mount a rescue mission, going through the Crinkle Snoot caves, getting a bunch of shit, and busting him out of the Black Tide, killing its leader, Kiso, leaving Tony Lyons in charge, only for it to be revealed that Bait, whom you met on Farpoint, let Locke get captured as a way to get a Tide Pod. Meant to be, you guys get kidnapped by the Maids Lords and brought into Naranial. You discover time is split, that a bunch of shit happened with Bait's old village, and you were able to muster all that power together to stop the machine from firing that broke the Badlands to begin with. And it looks like time changed, but it kind of didn't, because in the new age you realize time is still broken. You use the Tide Pod to get out from Naranial and start an adventure to reunite the broken pieces of Asmagath. And then you fail, because Lema fucking died, and you took her hand. Seraphina wimped out, and you guys had to go find Lee. You brought Lee to Naranial again. He dropped the tears, and you summarily killed Azigar. I don't know if we're going to use any of that. So the last episode recap. Upon rescuing Galagath, he points out that Bait kidnapped him and tried to trade him for safety for his people. You left Bait in the hands of the Druid and returned to the Shattered Timeline to dispatch Azigar, which, thanks to the help of Lee, the god of orderly time, has died, and you return to the Verdant Timeline of Naranial, only to realize that the Salt Spire you were in has been broken, and Bait is gone, and so is Galagath.
Fucking Bait. Lee is not with us currently, correct?
I don't see why he wouldn't be.
Okay, I say we have a god on our side.
So let me paint the picture. You all stand in the center of a verdant, lush timeline. Rolling hills of grass spill down from beneath your feet into the forest, the Druid village, and the river below. Immediately surrounding you is the rubble of the Salt Spire in which you stood, both in this timeline and its shattered parallel. However, you know what broke it. You left Bait here in the control of the Druids for his treachery, but now he is missing. Galagath, the remnant god of Asmagath, is missing. And as the dust begins to settle, you see not just the stones of the ancient formation broken around you, you see the bodies of the Druids that joined Bait in the tower in the first place.
Oh.
For whatever reason, he has gone scorched earth and left you in his wake. What do you do?
I go to check on the bodies. Are they still alive? Can we still do something about them? Save them?
Roll a medicine check for me.
I'm going to help with that. So if you want to roll with advantage to represent Maeve also searching with you.
The first one was a 3, so come on. Don't fuck me on this dice. 19 plus medicine is wisdom, right? Plus 1. So unnatural 20.
A filthy 20.
You check several of the bodies. There were maybe six druids with him thereabouts, about a half dozen bodies strewn all over the place. You see some are outright crushed by the rocks. Some, their flesh seems to be scorched, but at least one is lying there gasping for breath. You're able to make it over to them, and they look into your eyes, recognizing you from around the village, and they say, he took the god. We asked him why. He didn't answer. You need to help the village.
Don't talk right now.
Okay, good, because it really hurts. Okay.
I'll bonus action healing word. Upon seeing them talking, I'll just whisper a quick prayer, and they'll get a few hit points. I'll do first level.
The staggered breathing of the young druid on the ground starts to settle into a healthier rhythm, and it's
3 hit points.
And they sigh in your arms as their eyes begin to flicker.
I just sighed in your arms tonight.
Thank you.
Must have been that healing word.
Are they stable?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
Excuse me, I know probably, been here for a little while at least. Do you know how long ago he did all of this? Was it like a minute ago? Like 5, an hour?
It's been minutes. Once you disappeared, he didn't wait more than a second before he brought the building down around us.
All right. To aid in our finding him, who wants to fly? I could do I could do a 4th level, so I could do 2 flies.
Yeah, I would like everybody to remember there has not been a short rest or a long rest since your fight with Azigar.
I still got a good number of spells, just not a lot of high level ones. So I could I don't want to burn my last 5th level, but I can burn a 4th level and get 2 people flying.
If we're just looking at this point, I feel like it should be people who are more perceptive.
Is anybody good at survival?
Bait was good at survival.
Yeah,
I'm a +5.
I got a +1.
And I have a +5 to my perception as well. So
Maybe start with that. Try to follow some tracks, if anything.
Swiggity swooty.
All right, I will cast fly.
So anybody trying to discern Bait's direction, feel free to roll survival or perception, your preference.
Well, they're both the same for me, so I guess we'll do survival.
12. Not the greatest. I'll cast flight on myself and Locke.
I got
so we can have them legs.
a 20 total for survival.
Okay. Locke, you start waving your hand around in the air. There's so much dust from the collapse because it happened a few minutes ago that you're trying to clear the air so you can actually get a clear view. When you manage to see your way down to the villages below, you remember this landscape and you know where the village is. You look at it and it seems pretty normal until a flash of orange light erupts from amidst the trees as a fireball launches outward from there. Several seconds later, you hear the explosion that you've just seen.
It was not launched at us?
No, it was an explosion in the village and a fireball in the woods.
Gotcha. I see maybe some fighting going on over there, and I'll just point in that direction.
All right. You can fly now, 60 feet of movement. You're going to see Kalt just like Superman, just like one-fisted, just jumping out. Because he did leave Jerry here. Did he find Jerry amongst the rubble?
No, he didn't. You did leave Jerry here.
I did leave Jerry here.
Okay, yes. Upon you realizing what's happening, your question has gone answered by the explosion in the distance. And even though Lee is right next to you, able to give chase, you are immediately distracted by the lack of your son. Please roll an investigation check.
That is going to be a lot of dirty 20s. This is a dirty, filthy, slutty 20 that I just rolled.
Why did you need more adjectives?
Just a little naughty.
Your naughty 20.
Just a little nasty 20.
Your promiscuous 20.
Now you're thinking.
Reveals to you a set of tracks in the dust. Again, dust is still settling, but there are clear footprints in the rubble beneath you that you recognize as those of your son, made even easier to discern by the small bits of tattered flesh and muscle tissue peppered on the ground. Jerry has clearly launched himself in pursuit of Bait towards the village.
All right, yeah, I'm gonna roll. I'm rolling out. I'm not gonna just let him. I'm not gonna let Bait get away. He owes me fingies, a skull. Like I've got There's taxes to be collected from this man.
Wow, Kalt really came around on taxes. Okay.
Bait deserves taxes.
That's all Kalt says, and then
Kalt
he just flies
launches
away.
off after those words towards the village, leaving everyone behind, and Lee dips his head into the dust cloud saying,
What is it that we face now?
because he doesn't know what's going on.
A greasy little twerp, and then I'm gonna fly off too.
Everyone's going to the village. Everybody tell me how you're getting to the village.
I'm flying.
Flying.
Okay, so Kalt and Locke fly ahead.
Kalt is like Superman, but I'm like Thor with my hammer. Mixing the timelines.
Jeddah, how are you getting to the village?
I'm hitching a ride on Lee. I'm bringing the survivor with us because, Kalt might have healed them, but he still needs medical attention.
Okay, Maeve.
Damn it. All right, I'll ride the damn dragon.
Okay, you both ride the dragon, but one of you looks decidedly unhappy about it towards the
It's
village.
me. You don't need to say one of us. It's me.
Maeve is sitting on the back of the dragon, like crossing
Just, like,
her arms, like
pouting,
yeah. This sucks.
Can't believe I get to ride a dragon.
I can't believe we have to bring this stupid fucking dragon.
Within minutes, you all arrive at the village, and knowing that there are druidic towns and villages all over the place here, this is just the closest encampment, the one led by Arlen. You come and see not the most horrifying scene, just the village square seems to be sort of in a tizzy as people are running around checking on each other. There is the clear evidence of a fireball having been cast in the middle here, but not much damage beyond that. In the midst of the commotion, once you all eventually land, including the dragon, Arlen runs out to you to greet you and says, "He just left minutes ago. What is going on?"
Did he take the god?
The old Galagath? Yeah, yes.
Well, how is he carrying the god? What did he leave on?
He disappeared into the woods. I was preoccupied with the safety of my people. Could everybody make a perception check?
Like a rotting zombie man, probably pouting about something if I were to guess, but around, probably following.
Arlen whips his head around side to side and, without speaking, jabs his finger out into the distance. When you follow the point of his finger, you see Jerry over helping people with torn, singed clothing into safety as he made it to the village just before you and is trying to help the people recover from the surprise attack.
Does Jerry look messed up?
Jerry does not look messed up.
Okay.
I'm gonna bring the guy over to Arlen. Hey, he needs medical attention. Get him some help. We'll deal with bait.
Seeing that you've just handed off a wounded soldier, Jerry looks, gingerly sets the other civilian down and runs over. He's like, they're setting up some triage over here. I can get him set. We have to go chase this guy. Dad, what are we doing?
Well, I think you're doing a great job here, Jerry. I think you should help these people while you can, but we are going to find bait, and we are to get Galagath back.
You can see Jerry kind of wants to talk back, but he doesn't really have a point to make, but you can see on his face he wants to come with you. And he looks at you like sort of like helping the person up, trying to help them to safety, but like not breaking eye contact with you, basically begging with his eyes for you to allow him to come and partake in the fight.
Jerry, I understand if you would want to come, and you can if you want. But what we are going to bait is not going to be merciful. He needs to be put down. Nothing can happen beyond that. Bait has not only failed us as a group, betrayed us as a group. He's not a good person. Like, obviously, he just stole an old man. Like, I haven't even done that before.
Jerry kind of looks at you nodding and then looks at the person in his arms and says, "I'll make sure they're safe and you can do what you have to do. I'll catch up."
Yeah, because if we don't get Galagath back, this'll all have been for nothing.
He threatens the very existence of time and space itself.
You all basically just look around for any sign of bait. Could I have everybody please roll perception?
On 11, I'm not hot on it.
I got a 7.
I got a 17.
I have a 4. I really don't like the dragon.
Yeah, as everybody is sort of like in the commotion, Locke, you sort of step back to the tail end of Lee and approach Maeve, sitting there deeply uncomfortable with how the situation is unfolding. And before you can say anything to her, though, you hear a distant screech in the sky. It doesn't sound like a bird. It doesn't sound like a forest animal.
Or a plane.
Or Superman Kalt. You hear the screech coming from up by the salt spires once again. When you point your eyes there, though, you don't see anything. but you hear sounds coming from that direction, the place that you just were.
That seems weird.
That's not the direction. Like, we just left there to find bait over in this direction, right?
Yeah, but he didn't even do anything. He came, he asked for our help, he said no, he cast a fireball and ran away. I have no idea what he's doing. Why would you...
Did he run away that way? And then I'm going to point to the spire.
And then he's like, it could have. Why would he cast a fireball if he wasn't trying to hurt us? I have no idea what's going on.
I want to make an insight check.
Please.
Ooh, that's a really boy. Okay, so that is a 14 plus 6.
With your naughty 20, what insight are you trying to discern?
I don't know. Give me whatever.
You hear them talking about this, trying to ask, where did Bait go? Could that be him? Fireball and everything. And Maeve, it clicks in your head. It was a distraction. It was to lure you away from the Salt Spire. And he got exactly what he wanted.
He's going back to the Salt Spire that we just came from? Is that the idea?
Okay, well, I think Bait just, big brained us, so we should, get back to the spire.
I do have a question. We came from the spire to the town.
Yeah, just 5 minutes ago, yes.
How did he get around us since we were coming from the direction of which he was heading?
That is a great question.
After he launched the fireball.
To be fair, you heard the sound come from that direction, so there's something over there. Given that Maeve just shared this with you, you don't have the answer to that question yet. The only things you can really do at the moment are either make your way back or try to figure out what's up there that Bait would want.
Me no think, me go.
Yeah, we gotta haul ass back to the Salt Spire right now.
Well, you all begin to make your way back up to the Salt Spire the way that you just made your way down to the town, frustrated by the whiplash of the situation.
I think we should go by foot just in case, Bait's somewhere along the way on the path so we don't miss him this time.
I don't think we have time to go by foot. We gotta go ASAP Rocky.
All right, ASAP Rocky it is. Let's go.
At Locke's urging, it sort of occurs to all of you. I don't need insight for this, but you're sort of scrambling to get your heads on your shoulders, but now that you have a second to think on your way back up through the sky toward the Salt Spire, the only thing up here is the machine in the other timeline. So whatever Bait is going for, I would say that is a safe deduction that any of you can make on your way there. It is on the way there that the shriek you hear becomes louder and more familiar and closer as it also approaches the Salt Spire, because from the trees below emerges another form. This is not a greasy crow. This is not a greasy druid. This is another slender, lizard-like creature with wings, slipping its way across the surface of the tree and climbing its way up the side of the hill, frantically trying to beat you to the collapsed Salt Spire. On its back is strapped a satchel large enough to contain a person. This dragon-like form is going to beat you to the Salt Spire.
How far away?
At this point, maybe 500, 600 feet. You're closing in.
Great. I'm going to cast Arcane Gate because it has a range of 500 feet.
Okay.
So basically, we're going to think with portals. I'm going to be like, okay, everybody get over here. I'm going to conjure a blue portal in front of us and then orange portal at the foot of the spire.
You all converge in the sky. Two of you on the back of the dragon, two of you flying like support craft. And each of you, as you get closer, approach the portal, and in the split second before you pass through it, you come face to face with a hideous, contorted dragon, unmistakably Bait.
It's greasy, just so greasy. The hair on it, so long and greasy.
Yeah, you're not used to long, slippery hairs poking out from under scales. But you see the face of Bait in the form of a dragon coming through the portal, and he is not expecting that portal to be there. Lee cruises through and collides. Here, I'm going to roll for something else, but as the two dragons collide mid-air on the other side of the portal, atop the hillside, Maeve and Jetta, please make dexterity saving throws.
Nat 1.
That's a 6 plus 3.
Maeve, you are no stranger to difficult rides here in the Badlands. You manage to grasp the scales of Lee pretty firmly and stay on as Lee spirals and regains his aerial balance. But Jetta, you slip and fall, and you are going to make probably a 50-foot drop on towards the ground. Do you have any reactions?
I mean, the dexterity save was to see if I stayed on Lee, right? Can I try to land on my feet?
You could. At that point, if you land without anything interrupting you, you will take damage. Locke and Kalt, you are flying autonomously. If you want to make a roll to try to save Jeddah, you can.
Wouldn't we be too far away?
No, we're all going through the same portal.
Oh, all going through this. Oh, we all.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought we were flying. Yeah. Sure. I'll see if I can save Jeddah.
Okay. Just go ahead and make a dex save.
Oh, I'm so good at those. That's a natural 11 plus 3, 14.
Okay. You see Jeddah get flung off the side of Lee, and you manage to swoop on down and scoop her up mere feet above the ground, holding her in your arms. Jeddah, it feels kind of nice to be cradled, honestly, like this. Just full on, like, both arms under your back and legs, his beard tickling your cheeks in the wind. And you are then dropped safely onto the verdant hillside, and you see the writhing form of Bait somersaulting in the air, landing on the hillside far away from you, and it makes eye contact. And upon doing so, tries desperately to scramble up to the salt spire first.
Right. While he was doing that, I was trying to go and like grapple Bait.
It is as Bait begins to scramble up the hillside that you, like a missile, swing on down towards him. Pew! I would like you to make an attack roll. I want to see if you can grapple this bad boy.
If it's a grapple, wouldn't it just be a athletics check?
Yeah, that's fair.
Athletically check these nuts.
How far away are we from Bait in this moment, / also the opening to
Locke,
this place?
Locke took all his movement to sort of get over there. So the rest of you, I'd say you're at a point where you're maybe only like 100 feet away. You're pretty close, and he's pretty large.
How far away is the opening? Because he's like trying to get inside this place, right?
Well, the salt spire is mostly collapsed. The machine that you suspect that he's trying to get to is in the alternate timeline. So you'd have to like cast something to get there, but it's in that salt spire. If he gets there, it's just flip of a switch to get access to the machine. So you guys are both like maybe 500 feet down the hill from it, and he's scrambling up when Locke suplexes him from above. Make that athletics roll.
I got an 18.
Locke, as everyone else is sort of regaining their balance, you come down elbow first on Bait's neck.
The people's elbow.
Yeah.
You just fought Azigar. You know what it's like to hit a dragon. When your elbow hits this scale, it slips straight off, and you are ricocheted basically into the ground. I'm gonna just treat this as a little bit of fall damage.
What a bitch.
And you're gonna take 6 damage total.
This greasy little slimy fuck.
And Bait manages to scamper up the hill ahead of you. You see the satchel bouncing around on his back, and you start to hear, I'm going to say because you got so close, you heard the faint muffles of Galagath from inside.
I would travel alongside Locke for the most part. If using my full movement, which is now 60 feet, how far away am I from this boy?
Your slight detour to save Jeddah gives Bait the advantage, but you're still only like 30, 40 feet behind him. You are cruising up the side of the hill in the air, chasing this slithering dragon.
So banishment, I just trap them in a demi-plane. I just wanted to make sure if I remember correctly, it's like a harmless like little demi-plane for the duration, unless they're not from this plane. If they're not from this plane, they then return to their home plane if I can keep concentration for a minute. Now, the question I have to ask is, if I use this on Bait, would I be sending him potentially to the plane, the timeline that he is looking to get to? I just want to avoid that if possible.
Well, remember, banishment also incapacitates them, so they can't take actions or do anything while they're there.
So yeah, key question here in my thought process for doing this.
You are running the calculus in your head. You're aware of the different timelines, and that Bait's ultimate goal was to get here. This is Bait's home timeline that he was trying to get to the entirety of the campaign before any of you arrived in the Badlands.
Gotcha. So this would be harmless demi-plane then I would be sending him to. And I would just only be sending him. I don't believe it only works on a single target. I'm going to cast banishment on him. I'm going to pop that 4th level spell, my last 4th level spell.
Go for it.
And he needs to make a charisma saving throw, which I believe he won't be that good at, considering his amount of grease.
So, I'm going to roll. That was an 8 plus 1, and Bait succeeds because he's going to use legendary resistance to succeed on the failed throw.
Well, if Bait isn't a little turd, hate legendary resistances.
I mean, at this point, Bait is currently a dragon.
Well, is he actually a dragon, or did he polymorph himself? Because you don't get access to legendary resistances if you polymorph.
Oh my god.
That's correct. You can make some checks if you would like. But at this point, you get to cast this, but I'm going to say that this is going to trigger an initiative check. So any actions will have to take place within initiative.
Seeing it like take hold, but seemingly like thwarted through supernatural means, could I make an Arcana check to figure something out about Bait?
I would consider that an action on your turn once we're in initiative. So everybody, you have seen Kalt chase this slimy creature toward the zenith of this mountain. Kalt casts this spell, and you see him sort of stymied as his gesticulation amounts to nothing. And Bait is scrambling up towards the tower. I would like everybody to make an initiative roll for me right now.
Before I do that, what happened to me when I rolled a 3 for my...
You're still on Lee. I set a DC that was very low because I rolled for it, so you're still on the dragon.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a 16.
I got an 18.
Yeah, I'm a big boy 7.
5.
First up in the order is Bait. Bait is going to try to use the Frightful Presence ability. So each creature of the dragon's choice that is within 120 feet, that would be all of you, and aware of it must succeed on a saving throw or become frightened for 1 minute. So everybody, please roll a wisdom save.
Can we just like automatically pass because nobody has really had any respect for Bait whatsoever?
I'll give you all advantage because that's a great fucking point. So you may roll against Frightful Presence with advantage.
That was a joke, but also you're welcome, guys.
No, that you all hate this guy so fucking much. I get it.
11.
24. I'm good at wisdom.
17.
16.
Bait is running up the hillside, like belly really low to the ground, like not moving with any sort of regalness or majesty, but really slithering as much as possible. Its wings sort of tucked back and down for the sake of aerodynamics, I
In
guess.
sport mode.
Sport mode Bait is cruising up the mountainside, and without breaking its stride, tilts his long black horn head back towards all of you and bellows, "Get away from me!" And you're all sort of surprised by it. Maeve is the only one who is affected by it, but I don't want to characterize it as fear necessarily, but this is confusing. I think you're definitely put off by the fact that Bait is in this form. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't comport with what you know about him. So yes, it's the frightened condition, but I'm comfortable characterizing it more as like a deep caution. But that is Bait's action, and they are going to keep making their way up the hill. Next up is Locke. You have just crashed into the ground. You brush the dirt and grease off your arm, and you see Kalt and Bait ahead of you as Lee cruises overhead and Jeddah comes up from behind. What do you do?
Realizing that it's going to be a little bit difficult to physically affect Bait because of the aforementioned grease, Locke is going to shift tactics and attempt to free the muffled voice from within the satchel.
So you would need to catch up to the dragon to do this?
I know. I'm zooming.
Okay, so you're zooming. Your fly speed is what, 60 feet?
60, yeah.
Okay, let's see. What is Bait's on the ground speed right now? 40 feet. I'd say that this is enough to almost catch up with him. You're sort of like in line with Bait's tail. If you dash, you could get to the satchel dangling off its back.
But then I wouldn't be able to do anything to the satchel.
Yes.
So I'm going to bonus action Misty Step to teleport to the satchel, and then I'm going to grab it.
I'm going to say that at first, when you Misty Step up there, you try to like land on the dragon's back because you're used to doing that with Lee. But again, just so fucking slippery, you just keep utilizing your fly to hover above the satchel. I would like you to make, I'm going to say sleight of hand.
Oh boy.
Because you have the strength to get this thing. It's a matter of whether you have the finesse to grab it safely while it's being jostled around by a giant creature.
Oakley dokley. That is a 7.
7 total?
Yup.
Would you like to know what I rolled to set the DC?
Sure. Yeah.
That's a 7. You matched it. You got
Let's
it.
go!
You feel the drawstrings of this satchel flapping about in the wind, bouncing against your fingers, and with just a small hook of those fingers, you manage to snatch it and start to rip the bag off of Bait's back. You are now floating in the air carrying Galagath. He's a pretty frail old man, and you're a beefcake, so this is not difficult for you. Bait's reaction is to stop. and is going to use a legendary action to make a tail attack at you as a retaliation.
Okay.
I will tell you this, not polymorph, but I might be taking some liberties.
If it's shape change, you can't use legendary actions for sure.
He's also the DM and he's doing what he wants.
No, I'm just saying.
It's the finale. We're breaking some rules.
This is me surmising that Bait has been a dragon the whole time. I'm not rule picking.
Tail attack. Let's see. Where's this in the thing? Locke does a 23 hit.
What do you fucking think? Yes.
Okay. I don't know, man. I can't keep track of how strong you are. Okay. It's
AC not strong. AC is how easily do you get hit.
Yes, I know. Let's see. That's a 7. That's an 8. So that's 15.
It's very
plus
easy to hit
6.
Beefcake Boy.
So 18. So you're going to take 24 damage from this tail attack. You are able to maintain control of the satchel, and you have rescue. You hear from inside the bag, "Oh, thank you," as Galagath is appreciative for what you've done.
Quick point of order: do we know what color of dragon is Bait?
Black.
Black. Okay, black.
Kalt sifting through the Rolodex of like his own fucking like Pokedex in his head. Just, oh, you're still gonna go this store.
It's got a lot of stuff that hurts, just not a lot of stuff that, if it was fire, I'd be very limited.
Next up in the order, Jeddah, you are pulling up the tail here. You are quite a ways behind everyone else at the bottom of the hill, but you see Locke has just snatched the satchel from Bait's back. What do you do? Snatchel.
How far am I?
You're probably like a good 100 feet behind Bait, 60 feet behind some of the others.
I've moved my full movement speed, bonus action dash, so I'm 60 feet closer. Before I take my action, I do want to go, what is your malfunction, Bait? We beat Azigar. Everything's good now.
The reaction to that is just a loud roar as Bait just sort of shrieks. But it's not the kind of terrifying roar you heard before. It is, again, just everything about Bait's personality is shining through this thing. And it is like a sniveling, conniving shriek of frustration and hate coming out of this thing's mouth.
Here's a dumb question. What's the range when you throw a dagger?
I think it's 20 feet.
I thought it was 30-60. Is it 2040?
I think it's 2040.
Suffice it to say, with either of those, you would not likely make it to hit Bait.
I think I'm better off just using my action to dash to get even closer, so that's what I'm going to do.
You run up, catching up to the wizardly man flying above you, Kalt, your beard flapping in the breeze as you try to discern what the heck is going on with Bait. What do you do?
How far away is Locke currently from the dragon?
Locke's very close to the dragon, having just taken the thing off of it, maybe 10, 15 feet behind it.
He's floating.
Yeah, floating in the air, holding Galagath, just hit by the tail. You're maybe only 20, 30 feet behind Locke at this point, because Locke has slowed down.
I am going to hold an action for something that I believe to be kind of fun. I'm well within the realm of 120 feet, which is the distance of the spell. I am going to wait. The action that I'm holding is I'm going to cast Wall of Force the second that dragon starts to move towards Locke to try and do anything.
Okay.
I'm putting up Wall of Force and he's going to slam into it and be... Because I don't want to do it now, because he could try and move over it. So I'm going to do it as a reaction when he's approaching. So he slams into it and hopefully wastes movement, at least action, to figure out what to do with it. So that's my move. I feel like that's very tactical. If nothing else,
it'll be funny to watch him run into an invisible wall.
Exactly.
As if he were a pigeon.
It'll definitely, I think Locke is in a spot. Because distance is, I'm pretty well within it, I will begin to move backwards 60 feet.
Okay.
And that should still put me within 120 feet. That way I'm less in it and what I'm doing will be less obvious.
Understood. Maeve, you are right about in line with where Kalt is approaching the dragon, but you are far above the hillside riding on the back of Lee the dragon. What do you do?
Well, I am scared of Bait because I failed my save or whatever. So I can't really willingly go closer.
Correct.
How far away am I from him?
I'd say on the diagonal, probably 90 to 100 feet, 50, 60 feet up, 50, 60 feet behind, whatever the fucking, diagonal of that would be. But yeah, you are floating far above the hill. Lee is cruising, so you're sort of in motion.
Okay, yeah, I don't really have anything. I guess I'm just going to kind of close my eyes and let Lee take the wheel.
Okay.
Lasers take the wheel.
Yeah, I was trying to find the right word. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just for your own sake, like, obviously bait is the thing here, but I mean, there is Galagath, whom Locke has just saved. You know that the machine is in the alternate form of the Salt Spire. Are there any non-bait related actions you would like to take?
No.
Okay, cool. I'll consider this held in case you change your mind at the end of Lee's.
Very nice of you, but okay.
Lee is going to, with you on his back, try to breathe down lightning breath. All reliable. You feel the rumbling of Lee taking an inhale as he goes to exhale against Bait. Bait manages to sort of like barrel roll out of the way, singed by the lightning breath, but the swath of damage goes mostly up the grassy hill and just leaves a trail of exploded dirt and flaming grass in its wake. But Bait is, in fact, going to take...
I'm going to make a roll for my fear. That is a 15 plus 1.
15 plus 1. That succeeds. You basically peer over the side of Lee, seeing Bait take 26 damage from this lightning breath, and whatever strange considerations you had about his person have been dispelled as you realize he's the same weird piece of shit you've always known.
Nice.
Let me tack on that damage. That brings us back to the top of the order. Bait gets back up on his feet, recovering from the barrel roll, and looks angrily at Locke. And both at Locke and in response to Jeddah, screams, "If someone like you can get a hold of time, so can anybody else. I have to stop them." And he's going to lunge at Locke directly.
And my wall of force appears comforting, like, you know, just a little. I want it to be close enough that he could see the Locke's face, and then they can see how disappointed and surprised he is. But yeah, that wall of force pops up, interposing between them.
How are you shaping it?
That's a great question. So I can do...
He shaped it like a dick, and you can see it pushing the ball.
Just a big dick. So I can do shape a flat surface made up of 10 10-foot panels. I think I would use the 10 10-foot panels and kind of just maximizing the space around them using those panels. I mean, I could probably draw something up, but it would be not something unlike a square-ish look. Sure. Probably be, what would be the size? So I get 100 I got 100 square feet. I mean, there's 100 square feet in front of them, I guess.
Okay. Locke, you are standing there. You have just snatched the satchel from Bait, and almost as if in slow motion, you see the gaping maw of this slender, shimmering dragon split open as its mouth dives directly at you. If you don't move, it's going to devour you. And the same fears you experienced fighting Azigar crop up in your head until you hear a loud, deep thump as inches from your face, the nose of Bait smashes into an invisible wall of force that you did not know existed. I would like you to roll a Constitution saving throw just for funsies.
Saving throw to not shit my pants. Got it. That is an 11.
With an 11, you see this happening, and as soon as the crash happens, you go, "Ah!" in like a very girlish shriek, and you almost drop Galagath, but you manage to catch it, and like you hear like that of Bait like sliding down the invisible wall of force as he makes his way back down to the ground. That was just his movement, but I am going to treat that lunge like fall damage, and I'm going to say that was like his full 40 feet of actually his 80 fly speed. So I'm going to say that was like 50 feet, so let's roll 5d6 for fall damage here. So he's going to take an additional 18 damage from smashing his face into that wall of force and falling to the ground below. He does manage to catch himself with his wings and sort of land on the ground a bit more gracefully. At that point, he is going to look up and attack Locke.
Well, I do have bad news for Locke. I forgot that wall of force is concentration. So
So I'm not.
You're not flying anymore.
Flying it, you bitch!
But upon seeing you begin to fall, I will cast Feather Fall. and you will gracefully begin
That
to
completely
fall
ruined my plan.
Oh, no. Wait, but
I was
completely
relying
forgot
on
about
the
that.
fly.
Called, aren't you on the same fly spell?
He's also on the same
I
fly
am on.
spell.
I will cast Featherfall on myself as well. I will be one
Okay.
of the
What range is
participants.
Featherfall?
60 feet.
I'm further than 60 feet away from you, you stupid bitch.
Oh well, I gracefully fall to the ground.
Oh yeah, you did. You moved very far back.
You specifically moved 120 feet away from me.
You're not flying high up in the air.
I hate
That's
you.
not really the immediate concern.
I forgot about that. That's my bad.
So Locke, you have the shriek. You grab the
And
thing.
then, like a Looney Tunes character, I just look down, I look back up, and I hold up a sign saying "Uh-oh," and I just go straight down.
Oh yeah, sorry. That was me checking my spells and realizing I made a boo boo.
You son of a bitch!
Locke, you begin to fall, and you think you're about to land in the trees, so you look down to
Aim for the bush.
aim for the bushes. You look down to aim for the bushes, but there's something in the way, and that is Bait, who has also just fallen, and he is going to make a multi-attack at you to try to swipe you out of the sky. Upon seeing you above him and knowing that you're basically a missile of a person, shouts up at you and then furiously...
I'm featherly falling. Okay, I'm not a missile.
You're not feather falling.
Oh no, I'm not.
No,
You're not
you are
feather
careening
falling.
toward the ground at full speed. You're hanging on to Galagath for dear life, and you are going to feel multiple swipes of Bait as you fall towards his open mouth. Let's
I'm
see.
gonna try to hold Galagath above my head. So that he's
Hey, Colin.
Yes.
How far away am I from Mr. Locke?
You are probably like 60 feet straight above him.
Oh, beautiful.
Okay.
I'm gonna cash in that what you
That
gave
held
me
action?
before. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
gonna cast telekinesis targeting Locke.
Okay.
So
What?
yeah, so I gain the ability to move or manipulate creatures or objects by thought. When I cast a spell and as my action each round for the duration, I exert my will on one creature or object that I can see within range, causing the appropriate effect. So for a creature, I restrain the creature, but I can hold it in place or move it around 30 feet in
Okay.
any direction.
So, Locke, as you swivel Galagath to be up above your head as your ass goes straight for Bait's mouth. Not a sentence I thought I was going to say in this campaign. But you start to feel almost kind of like you're a kid. You feel like hands picking you up under your armpits. You're not really sure what's going on. The last 5 seconds have been very strange for you as Maeve's telekinesis begins to take effect. How are you directing Locke's body? Because this will affect how I resolve Bait's attacks.
Oh, I'm just going to keep it, I don't want it to keep falling.
Okay, so Locke, you're gonna get sort of like a bit of is it road rash? I don't know. That feeling of the whiplash of the hands under your armpits catching you. You're gonna feel like a deep discomfort as you try to hang on to Galagath right above your head. But this does make it a little harder for Bait to hit you, so I'm gonna have him roll his attack rolls with disadvantage. The first does not hit. The second is a 16 plus 11.
That hits.
Okay. And the third is a 9 plus 11.
That does hit. Yes.
Okay, so Locke, you are terrified as you see Bait's mouth prepare to snap shut beneath you, but Maeve's spell stops you. You don't know it's her spell, but you hear his jaws snap shut beneath you, and there is nothing happening to you as a result. He misses because you stop moving. However, his claws swipe up and hit you from the sides. All right, so that's 16 plus 6 plus 6, so that's what, 28? So you're going to take an additional 28. This is slashing damage as its claws swipe up, and you feel the dragon claws gash into your legs as you start bleeding from the sides.
See, you're perfectly fine.
I am not
Yeah,
fine.
perfectly fine.
Fine.
I have a quarter of my health right now.
You're perfectly fine.
Jetta, you have dashed up the hill and gotten very close to where Locke is as you see Bait smash into an invisible wall, fall, Locke falls, Kalt falls behind you, and then Locke stops falling. A lot of crazy shit just happened, but you're only about 30 feet from the proceedings at this point. What do you do?
I mean, the way you described it, he's attacking, Bait's attacking upwards towards Locke. So I guess I'll pull out my dagger and put a stab in his underbelly because that would be raised up for him to do that, right?
Yeah, Bait is sort of like fluttering above the ground, bouncing up and down. You time your attack perfectly, sprinting up towards him and jabbing your dagger upwards. Make an attack roll.
23? 23, yeah.
That hits.
Sweet. So, yeah, 7 damage.
Kalt, your feather falling, good 60 feet or so from the proceedings, watching all this happen from a cozy distance. What do you do?
I will move forward towards the group with my 30 movement speed with just my legs.
Okay, you're about 30 feet behind Jeddah at the end of your movement, sort of schlepping up the hill. Not the most athletic of the bunch.
And how far away am I from
Bait is just above Jeddah, so similarly, you're now about 30 feet away from Bait.
You know what? I'm going to cast Blindness on Bait. Second level spell slot.
Okay.
You need to make a Constitution saving throw or become blinded.
Is a 6 plus 5.
My saving throw is 19. He is blind unless you want to use another one of those little legendary resistances.
I'm not going to use a legendary resistance on this. Bait will suffer the effects of the blind spell.
All right, disadvantages on attacks and advantages on attacking him from now on.
Okay, yeah. I think Bait is sort of aware of the scope of your powers, having resisted your last attack, and is also kind of frenzied at the moment. So it's kind of the perfect balance of scope and speed. But you cast the effect and you immediately see him start to become discombobulated as he lands on the ground, sort of pawing at the trees around him.
All right, and I think that is... I don't have any other bonus action stuff, so that's about it from me.
Maeve, you circle above, holding Locke gingerly in your hands. What do you do?
I am going to direct Lee to... Well, I passed my fear check, right?
Yes, you did.
Yeah. Okay, didn't remember. So I'm going to direct Lee to fly down to the ground. And as we do so, I'm going to move... I can move Locke 30 feet in any direction. So I'm going to move him down 30 feet.
Okay. I'll say that you do this. I'm going to sort of mix this up with Lee's turn, who's next in. Go ahead.
Can I direct the Lee to fly under Locke and then release control of the telekinesis onto Locke?
Yes.
And then we fly down.
I will say I'll consume your movement through Lee because you're directing him. So this will be your movement. You guide Lee underneath Locke and do exactly as you described. Locke lands safely, if not a little bloodied, on Lee's back. And he clutches the pouch with Galagath and he says, "Oh, little one, is that you? Oh, good news."
What? What is possibly good about this?
You gotta be away from that son of a bitch.
Okay, cool.
Is there anything else that you'd like to do with your turn?
Paint me a word picture. That's not a spell. I'm asking you to paint me a word picture of how things are situated here.
Invocation. Yeah. The way things are situated, Bait, you're up above a sloped hillside with scattered trees, mostly grass. You're not far from the crumbled salt spire up the side of the hill. You're all sort of aligned vertically. You are swirling down in a downward spiral in the sky, having just caught Locke. Right beneath you, Bait is fumbling on the ground amongst the trees, trailed by Jeddah and Kalt just below them on the hill.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out. So if we caught Locke and I'm moving down, am I closer to Bait now?
Significantly. You're maybe 30 feet above him.
And what's the size classification of Dragon Bait?
Dragon Bait is huge.
Beautiful. I am going to try to use my telekinesis on Dragon Bait to restrain him. He needs to make a strength check, not a saving throw, versus my charisma check.
A check. He has to arm wrestle your charisma. Okay, that is a 7 plus 6.
Okay.
So I got a 13.
I have an 18 plus 5.
18 plus 5. You absolutely managed to restrain Bait. Jeddah, this is maybe most frightening from your point of view, which is you're on the ground having just stabbed him as he immediately begins flailing around, belting and yelping, biting and lashing out at trees before suddenly stopping completely still. His arms and wings are sort of stretching out like a bat trying to wake up and take off, but it can't move. This is Maeve's doing, even if you don't know it.
So until the end of my next turn, Bait is restrained in my telekinetic grip. So no move speed, and we have advantage on a lot of stuff against him. And he has disadvantage on dex saves.
Cool, and is already blinded, so kind of in a really bad way. Locke, just recovering from the crazy midair melee, you are mounted on Lee's back and have regained control of your body at long last as Maeve directs her attention towards bait. I'm going to say you can take your turn now. What do you do?
Is anybody else on Lee with me, or is it just me and Galagath?
It's you, Galagath, and Maeve.
Okay. I'm gonna, strap Galagath to Lee, and then tell Maeve, make sure he doesn't fall off, and then I'm gonna, jump off and try to fight.
I'm just gonna have you roll a sleight of hand. Just as a free action, I just want to determine the quality of this. How do you tie this guy down? Just make that roll for me.
That is an 18.
Cool. You securely tie the drawstrings of the bag onto one of the protruding scales, and you see it's secure enough. Say your words, jump off. What do you do on your way down?
When I jump, is there a way that I can land in the vicinity of bait, or am I gonna have to run? Okay, awesome.
Maeve directed the dragon to be right above him. You are 30 feet above it. It's a straight shot down towards bait, who is blind and pinned.
So the way I imagine this is I'm gonna tie everything up, say my words, and then I'm gonna barrel roll off of Lee with both arms on my hammer and use the momentum of me falling to bring it down on Bait's face.
Hell yes. Okay. Make your attack roll. You obviously have advantage on this.
Leroy Jenkins. The first one was an 18 plus my attack, and the second one was an 11 plus my attack, so it's 18 plus 15, 33? Yes. 14 plus 15 is 29. And then 28. So 29 and 28. Do those hit?
Yes.
Okay.
So you have 3 successful attacks.
So the first one is going to be 17 bludgeoning damage, then 18 bludgeoning damage, and then 20 bludgeoning damage.
Okay, so that's what, 65 damage? Is that right? Yes. You bring your hammer down. You want me to bring the hammer down? Yeah, you bring the hammer down on Bait's dragon face, and you hear the crack of bones as you inflict a serious amount of harm onto this sniveling, writhing beast. Now, and I'll say you're standing basically right on the back of his neck, Maeve pinning him down, can't see because of Kalt, and you're just walloping him. Next up in the order is going to be Lee, who is going to follow suit. Looking like an enormous version of you, Lee just straight drops out of the air and lands on Bait's back, going to make a multi-attack, slamming down again with advantage with its bite and its claws. Okay, so 3 hits. We have 2d10 plus 7, 45. So that's an additional 45 damage of the 2 golden dragons falling out of the heavens and landing directly on him. This form that Bait is currently occupying seems to be convulsing in pain and suffering as you guys absolutely bring the smack down. It is Bait's turn, and it is going to try to retaliate against you blindly, opening its mouth and shouting upwards. He's going to say, "I'm the only one!" and then fire acid breath at the person directly in his way. That would be Lee and Locke. So this is...
Would that be me as well?
I would say you're pretty much shielded by the enormity of Lee, like full body shield. It would not hit you. Locke, please make a dexterity saving throw.
Okie dokie. That is a 17.
Locke, you and Lee are so confident in your attack that you basically stand there for a second recoiling and don't have the time to react after Bait's words, and you are both doused in acid breath.
I would like to use my Indomitable to re-roll my failed saving throw, but I must use the second result.
Okay, go for it.
That's even worse. I will move on.
Locke, you and Lee both take 60 damage.
Well, I'm dead. Well, not like dead, but like pretty fucking dead.
You're down, boy.
Locke, you're basically standing there with a smile after the incredible attack you just levied against this guy, and don't even have time to think before you feel the burning of acid filling up all of your clothes and covering every inch of your skin, peeling through your scales as you collapse to the ground in agony, rolling off of Bait's body and sliding down the grass, covered in his acidy attack.
Just choking.
Lee is also burned pretty badly. Still wounded from his fight with Azigar, is thrown backward, and he lets out a deep pained roar, bucking backwards and leaping off of Bait in a horrified reaction. Maeve, I'd like you to once again make a dex save to try to stay mounted to Lee.
That is a 13 plus 3, 16.
You manage to keep your grip on the scales. Let's roll for this. But you notice that the Galagath bag comes loose from its knot and begins to slip off.
No!
And the bag drops towards the ground, and you guys hear a loud, sickening thud as the doddering old body housing the spirit of this god takes, I'm going to say, that's going to be 10 damage.
Is the bag still moving a little, or is it just not moving at all?
You're all sort of like looking with bated breath as the thing slides down the hill, and it starts to wiggle a little bit. There are signs of life.
Okay, it's good.
Which is funny because you just attacked us with bated breath.
Oh my god. That's the podcast, everybody. Thanks for listening. We've been Dice Populi. Have a good one.
We did it! That's a climax.
I have to roll my first death save right now, right?
Yes.
Yeah. It was a 19, so it was close.
Jeddah, you have just watched your friend Locke become doused in acid, unresponsive, and thrown down the hillside, only to be followed by the writhing satchel with Galagath in it close behind. You see both of these bodies careening towards you, unable to control themselves. What do you do?
I want to catch Galagath because
What a douche.
we are trying to save him.
Okay, but I'm your best friend.
You're also covered in acid, so it's spicy. But you take 15 feet of movement to make your way over towards the satchel. And I'll say that when you do, you're able to quickly pop the top open, and you see the bruised, sort of bloodied old man in there, still as frail as ever, saying oh goodness, you need to get me away from him. He's going to do something unspeakable.
I carry the old man and I yell to the others, I'm gonna take him away from the fight. This is too dangerous.
As soon as you say that, you hear Bait retching, "No, I need him!"
Yeah, no, I'm gonna just double time that. So, move the rest of my movement speed, dash, bonus action, dash. I'm running.
Yeah, I'll say, I'll give a little bit of flexibility here. Do you want to say anything, or are you just full send getting the fuck out of there?
Why do you need him? We don't have to deal with Azigar. The Mage Lords are defeated. Why?
You hear Galagath basically like huffing into your ear, it was the machine. He was going to put himself in there with me. Could you believe it? That thing, a god of time? Ha! It's he's weak, but he's deeply offended at what Bait was trying to do, and just lays it out for you.
Oh, okay. What the fuck, Bait?
Kalt, could you make a quick perception check for me?
That's a 14 plus 5, 19.
You hear the entire exchange as Jeddah runs directly underneath you, sliding and sprinting down the hill with Galagath in hand, and you now know that Bait's plan was to, in the absence of Azigar, take up the mantle of Guardian of Time himself. If he couldn't pay a god to do it, he was gonna do it himself. And that's his plan. I don't know if that affects your actions, but you now have a little bit of context here as you look down and see Bait covered in his own bile vomit with a dragon on top of him, writhing blind and pinned to the ground. What do you do?
Well, there is creeping in the back of Kalt's mind. It's I didn't know that was an option. I wouldn't mind. I could become a god. But he quells that pretty quickly. This is not the time for Kalt's heel turn, though it could be.
Could be.
Locke is down, and since I am the only one seemingly capable of doing any form of healing magic in this party, I feel responsible.
Okay.
Hey man, you give life and you take it away.
Oh man, if I had not,
he gives way less than he takes.
Here's the funny thing: if Colin had not messed up my scores so terribly in the beginning of this, I don't think we would have any healing at all.
That's true.
It's the only way.
That's true.
So I think I'm within 60 feet of Locke. I should be at least within 30, correct?
Yeah, I'd say that you could float down pretty easily and get in range.
Well, I'm on the ground. I'm not flying.
Oh, that's right. You feather fall. Yes, I'd say that you can get to him with your movement pretty easily.
All right, I just have to be 60 feet. And I will say a little prayer using healing word, and you're going to get back.
Say a little prayer for you.
Hey, that's max. You're going to get 5 hit points back. And as my action, because I can't use any big boy spells, I will cast Mind Sliver, which is also the range of 60 feet, on Bait. So you need to make an intelligence saving throw.
Okay. That is 10 total.
That is a failure. So you're going to take a whopping 8 points of psychic damage, and on the next saving throw that Bait makes, they take a minus D4 to the roll.
Gotcha. Kalt, you managed to say your little prayer to Locke, and he sort of gasps, the acid running off his face, and it is very good to see your friend alive. When you return your attention to him after casting your cantrip, he is
Kira,
pretty horribly burned.
lay down. Fucking killing me, dude.
Locke, get up, my friend. And then, the life floods back into your body, all 5 points of it.
So, Locke, you're heavily disoriented. The important thing is that even though technically you're not taking damage anymore, you have been basically soaking in acid for several seconds, and it is severely burning away at your scales and your skin to the point where it is a notable disfigurement. So you're sort of in a state of serious disarray and body horror as you rouse to and see Kalt above you. Maeve.
Yes.
You have just managed to hang on to Lee, who is settling from the acid attack. What do you do?
I think I'm going to get off the ground, try to stay away from Bait. And where is Galagath? Jeddah
has Galagath. Jeddah is running down the hill with the old man slung over her shoulder. Only she and Kalt know what Bait was planning to do, but you are on the ground.
Well, I need to use my action to keep Bait restrained. So
okay.
You get to make another strength check, and I will make a charisma check.
That's a 19 plus 6.
That is an 8 plus 5. Fuck.
Okay. So, Maeve, you get on the ground and you hold your hands out so as to keep him pinned to the ground. It is at this moment that he bursts free and stands straight up, slamming his claws back down on the ground. While not nearly as big as Azigar,
he's coming!
Hey, yo.
a big ferocious dragon staring you dead in the face.
It's not because it's blind.
It's all
staring you dead in the general area that you stand in.
There's like googly eyes over Bait's dragon eyes right now.
Acid breath in your general direction.
Great. Can I use my bonus action?
Yes.
I'd like to Misty Step on top of Bait.
Let's go. Okay.
Who does it?
Cool.
Nothing personal, kid.
Fuck it, right?
Is there anything you'd like to do beyond that?
Hold on to dear life.
Okay, you're going to hang on to Bait, and you are basically mounted on the back of his neck, hands on his horns for stability. And it is here that he's going to take a second legendary action, swinging his tail up at you, trying to swipe you off. Does a 29 hit?
With disadvantage?
You do have disadvantage.
Oh, yes, disadvantage. Let's see. Does a 29 hit?
Oh, fuck me. Hang on.
2 18s in a row.
That is a hit.
Once you land on the back of Bait's neck, you feel a surprising and sudden thud. You take 18 bludgeoning damage as his tail swipes up, attempting to knock you off. Could I just have you make a strength save to see if you maintain your grip on the horns?
That is a 13 minus 1.
You, upon being struck by the tail, are swiftly released from the grip you had on his horns, and you are going to fly sideways and hit the ground with some speed. I'm going to treat it as 10 feet of fall damage, and you take an additional 1 bludgeoning from your fall. You have now been swiped to the ground and are now a good maybe 20 feet from Bait.
Okay, cool. So you did 18 damage to me, so I need to roll concentration on telekinesis. So that is going to be an 8 plus my constitution, which is plus 7. So I succeed. I'm still concentrating on the spell, even if it's
not effective on him. Yes. It is now Lee's turn. The dragon above you tries to shake off the bits of acid that remain on its hide and is going to look back down at Bait and use repulsion breath to try to slam him further into the ground. Bait must succeed on a strength save. The spell says push 60 feet away, but I'm on a fall damage kick here. He's pushing him straight into the ground, so I'm just going to treat it as 66 bludgeoning damage. 13. It is now Bates' turn once again. He's going to retaliate by making another multi-attack. He's going to try to push Lee off of him and lash out at Maeve, who is also within striking distance. Against Lee, he's going to make a claw attack. That's bad. He does not hit Lee. His claws find no purchase, but his other set of wings reaches out towards Maeve. And in fact does find purchase. Maeve, you've barely gotten the wind back in your lungs as you feel a sickening thud of claws smashing through your clothing and into the ground. You've been pinned down by this thing, if only for a moment, and is going to make a bite attack as he pulls himself towards you. 70. Okay, so the disadvantage on the first one, a 17 plus 11 is a 28.
That's a hit.
And the second one, I rolled a 5, and I'm going to count that. So for disadvantage, does not hit. 5 plus 11 is your AC higher than 16.
Here's the thing. I think that first hit is probably going to knock me out. So you should roll damage for that.
You look up just to see Bates' greasy black claws descending from the sky upon you. You are going to take 12 slashing damage.
Maeve is down.
As you hear the thud of the claws into the ground and your eyes drift shut.
And then your second attack is going to hit.
Yep. And Bate is going to, let's roll for the second attack.
That's going to count as 2 failures on hit.
That is absolutely a hit. So you guys have all just watched Maeve try to attack Bate, get thrown off, and absolutely clobbered, decimated by Bate's claws and fangs as she lies on the ground on the verge of death with but one saving throw left.
Oh boy.
Locke, it is your turn.
How far away is Maeve from me right now?
40 feet.
Oh, you bastard.
Actually, no, she got through. Bait is 40 feet, 20 feet.
Am I still feeling effects of acid?
What I described was for flavor. You've definitely been visibly injured, but you have 5 hit points, and you are prone, so it would take half your movement to stand.
Okay. I am going to stand up, and then can I try to, use my movement to dive toward her so that I can attempt to, perform first aid on her?
She is uphill from you. You have 15 feet of movement left to climb up the hill if you want, but the only way you're going to get to her this turn is by dashing, which would take up any action.
But listen here, okay? I'm more than 5 feet tall, right? So I'm gonna go 15 feet, and then I'm just gonna fall forwards so that I can touch her.
You make it up the hill 15 feet.
He just planks.
You gotta give me options here, brother. Come on.
You're the one who tried to suplex this dragon twice. These are the options you're left with.
You're the one who dealt 60 damage to me in one attack.
This is a fucking BBEG, my guy.
How rough is Bait looking at this juncture, if you don't mind me asking? Have we made a dent?
On a scale of 1 to rough, he's pretty fucking rough.
Is he looking kind of end of his rope?
He's looking pretty end of his rope. He is lashing out. These are death rattles. This is fury that you're seeing out of this thing. He's not making sense. He has manic, megalomaniacal plans, and he is just trying to hurt you guys at the moment.
So does my idea work in that I can try to stabilize Maeve? Or are you telling me that even if I fall forward...
It doesn't.
You bitch. I will try to Eldritch Blast this motherfucker, okay. I guess.
I want to emphasize the stakes here. Bait has 1 legendary action left, and he is still in a fury against Maeve.
I know.
If you don't stop him now, this is going to be bad.
Best he can do is try and get Bait's attention, I suppose.
All I got is Eldritch Blast and Magic Missile, and Magic Missile is only going to tickle his pickle. So, I'm going to start blasting.
Okay.
The first one is only an 11, so that's not great.
Locke, as you are trying to intercept the killing blow against Maeve, you see the cloud in Bait's eyes peel back, and he lunges with renewed ferocity. The way I guess I'm imagining this in my mind is Locke gets up and immediately sees Mate get just the shit kicked out of her, and he's is panicking because this is yet another time where he's going to fail in protecting somebody that he cares for. So he's crawling his way up this hill, frantically trying to get to her, and just comes up short. And then in his panic, he looks up, sees that happen, and he's just
panic firing Eldritch Blasts now to just hope one fucking sticks. So the first one was a miss. Does a 23 hit?
Yes.
Okay, that's one hit. And then that last one is a 15.
So Locke, with tears in your eyes, are clawing your way up the battlefield. Maeve is sliding down, but just out of reach. You fire these blasts. One whizzes past Bates' head. The second whizzes past Bates' head. And as his teeth are about to close on her limp body, an Eldritch Blast hits him right in the mouth. Please give me the damage on that.
That is 7 damage. I should have fucking used matching this.
Yeah. I guess hindsight's 2020, you know. It's very dramatic, though.
Locke, you hit the Eldritch Blast on his nose, and this is enough to draw his attention towards you. And the fury seems to be indiscriminate. In Bates' mind, everything is being taken away from him yet again. And he doesn't care who he has to get through.
It's all about fucking Babe.
First it was Maeve, and now it's you, and you've got to go. So he is going to use his legendary action to make a wing attack against you, lunging forward and blasting a heavy beat of air at you. I would like you to make a dexterity saving throw.
That's a 14.
You are heartened to see Bates' eyes dislodge from Maeve, but they lock onto you, and when his wings flap forward, you are thrown back off the side of the hill, and you take an additional 11 bludgeoning damage, which knocks you unconscious.
Yep.
And because you are blown off the side of a steep hill, you are going to fall.
Oh my gosh.
And take additional damage on the way down, which is going to also knock you down.
I've been down.
Should I say 1 or 2 death save? Because it's not an attack, it's just fall damage, but it's damage, so it would be 2.
Damage is just
fails.
1. If it's just regular ambient damage from a save or something like that, it's just 1. But I will use Featherfall on that and stop that from happening.
How many spell slots you got, brother?
I am running out. That is the last first level spell. I still have a full staff.
It's almost like someone booked you back-to-back boss fights to exhaust your resources. It is now Jetta's turn. Jetta, you have Galagath, but you hear the commotion behind you, and you see the seemingly lifeless bodies of Locke and Maeve tumbling down the hillside. It's just you and Kalt standing. You can either get Galagath to safety, or you can intervene. What do you do?
I look to the infiltrator's key and go, oh man, don't let me down. And I use it to cast Mislead. So you become invisible, and at the same time, an illusory double of you appears. So what I want to do is like have this illusory double call out, hey, don't you want Galagath? Come on, over here. And invisible me is gonna move out of the way, but
Okay. Can I have you roll a stealth check? I'm going to roll against it with perception, but I'm going to roll at disadvantage because of Bates' blind fury. That's bad.
Oh, man. Yeah, that is 26.
That's a 26. Okay. Your ruse is successful as Bate, having just attacked Maeve and Locke, turns its attention to a false form of you, beckoning him to retrieve Galagath. Kalt, it is your turn. Bate is distracted, Lee is recovering, and Jetta is invisible as your two friends hurtle towards their deaths. What do you do?
What are the distances involved between Locke, Maeve, and Bate? Are they all right next to each other? And how far am I away in this?
I got thwacked.
Yeah, Maeve and Bate are right next to each other, pretty far up the hill. I'd say at this point, you just revived Locke, so you're about 20, 30 feet away from Maeve. She's tumbling down the hill towards you, and Maeve is sort of veering off to your side. Locke is behind you.
How far away is Maeve from Bate?
Maeve from Bate is very close. She's 15 feet.
Okay, well, I can bonus action. You know what? I'll do a third level. So third level healing word. 9 points of healing to my little friend Maeve. And you said I was under 20. I was 20 feet away from Bate.
You're 40 feet from Bate. You're 20 feet from Maeve.
And Maeve is continuing to roll down the hill.
Yes, but she's regaining consciousness mid-roll.
Okay. I am going to walk 30 feet straight towards Bate, and I'm going to hold an action.
Okay. May I ask the trigger, or would you like to surprise me?
I'm going to surprise you.
Okay.
How bad does bait look?
Bad.
Like you talking dangling by a thread here?
Dangling by a thread, missing scales, cracked horns, burnt wings, the whole nine. Bait is
Try to finish him off.
furiously trying to get at Jeddah.
There's a cool thing that I want to do.
Do it.
It could be very interesting. I'm going to hold my action, and I am going to taunt bait. I'm going to be. I guess that puts me around 10 feet away.
Okay.
That should put a little distance between me and Maeve. Well, if I move my full movement forward, how close is Maeve?
If you move towards Maeve, you can get to her. If you move towards Bait, she'll be behind you.
How far behind me? It's very important.
Like 15 feet.
I'll be 15 feet from Bait and 15 feet from Maeve. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, you'll be like right between them.
All right, I'm going to hold an action. I'm going to keep it spicy. But the trigger is going to be when I'm going to taunt him when he is within 5 feet of me.
Bait, you take your frustrations on a small girl. Why don't you take on somebody your own size, you sniveling, greasy imbecile?
And I'm going to stand defiant in the way of this dragon.
Maeve starts to come to, and she opens her eyes and just sees Kalt standing his ground against the dragon. And has such a newfound appreciation for everything he has done in this campaign.
And it is your turn. You managed to stop your descent down the hill, and you're staring straight up at the hero pose grizzled necromancer in front of you. What do you do?
I'm going to cast Enlarge Reduce on Kalt. And here's what else I'm going to try to do. I'm going to twin it. So I'm going to try to enlarge Kalt and reduce Bait.
I'd assume Kalt is willing and Bait is unwilling.
Yeah.
Yes.
Of course I'm willing.
So
What do I have to roll?
it is a Constitution saving throw.
Okay. It's a 9 plus 10.
19. My DC is an 18. However, I'm going to use my bent luck ability. You need to roll a d4 and subtract it from your roll.
Oh, Jesus. Mathematically, this is bad. -3! Kalt says pick on someone your own size, and exactly that happens as Bait shrinks to the same size to which Kalt grows. And as their shifts take place, you are standing face to face with a very puny, weak creature, Kalt. Bait looks into your eyes with the mix of hate and pity that he's managed to hide behind them this entire game, and he looks at you for any sort of help. But unfortunately for you and Bait, it's Lee's turn. Unless you want to use that held action.
Oh no, the held action is if he runs towards me. If he's not doing that, then you have to stick with the trigger. So
Yeah, it's not his turn. So he looks at you, and Lee is going to make an attack against him, swiping his tail towards the minuscule Bait. That is an 8 plus 12. That hits. And we are going to roll 2d8. Kalt, as you lock eyes with one of the saddest images you've ever seen, another dragon's tail careens into it and crumples the hide of this creature. The ragdoll form of Bait the dragon slides down the side of the hill. As it does so, it begins to revert, and slowly but surely, with each tumble, with each thwack of the dragon flesh and scale against the grass, the thuds become softer and lighter, and by the bottom of the hillside is an unconscious, deeply unwell, heavily wounded Bait the druidic elf. He lies at all of your feet below, unconscious.
So to kind of pick apart the stance that Kalt had, he had like double-handed the staff, and he had kind of like had it at an angle. And when he sees this go down, there's like a moment of like,
Oh, thank God. Oh, okay.
because Kalt was going to break his staff, which would have done a lot of damage to him and to anybody nearby. It would have 10 feet away or closer. It's 8 times the number of charges. I have not used it. That's 160 damage.
Yep.
Yeah, holy shit.
That was the game that I was playing. But then he's like,
Oh, thank God. Okay.
And then just kind of like drops to his knees. Like, oh,
Lee looks at you like,
What were you going to do with that thing?
No, just I was going to,
he kind of like rolls on his side and starts to like hyperventilate a little bit.
you're still very large right now, so you're like,
As you roll, I'm just gonna like, careful, watch it, and I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna drop concentration. Actually, I'm not going to, because I think bait is considered small now. Still, for the next minute.
Yes.
He's a little boy.
okay, so everybody sort of breathes a sigh of relief and fall to the ground and sort of like, oh, thank God it's over. We knocked him out. He's tiny. He's unconscious. That's great. Locke, you're still...
I'm big and unconscious.
You're big and unconscious and tumbling down the hill. And I think that you've been tumbling down unattended for so long, I am going to have you take some bludgeoning damage here from
bitch.
rolling down
You know,
the
he
trees
was
and rocks.
Featherfall, so he landed very softly and gingerly.
Featherfall slows you.
Okay, would Featherfall, just put it to the group, because I don't think it's in the text. If he touches the ground, does Featherfall stop?
If the creature lands before the spell ends, it takes no falling damage and can land on its feet. That really doesn't apply because
That's the thing, is you're unconscious.
Unconscious.
So basically you hit the ground softly but continued to roll, and it's on your way down the hill. You and Bait are both sort of tumbling unconscious toward the foot of the mountain.
But it slows you, so it should have stopped my momentum.
He's like playfully rolling
Until
down
you
the
land.
My point is that I would not have momentum to continue rolling that far. Friction would take over.
You would pick up momentum because of the steepness of the hill.
How steep is this fucking hill?
It's a mountain, dude. You remember how in school I used to just roll down the hill all the fucking time? It's like that.
We're not revisiting that, but
Okay. But Locke, this is going to count as a single saving throw here, as a death save. As you basically, I'm going to say you basically hit a set of rocks as you reach a sort of escarpment partway down the hill. I really thought one of you guys was going to beef it.
Well, I still fucking could, apparently.
You still fucking could. But you've stopped. You've stopped at the rocks, but you are unconscious and you have 2 saves left.
No.
But I don't know. Could actually have everybody else roll survival.
It's a natural 19 plus 1.
that's a 12.
I got a 3.
So everybody is sort of watching Bait tumble down the hill, sighing a deep sigh of relief. It is only Kalt in his enlarged form who out of the corner of his eye sees Locke is still falling off the side of the mountain unattended.
How far away is Locke?
Locke has made some distance and you climbed up the hill. He's like over 60 feet away from you at this point and getting further.
All right, I'll hop. I'll use my movement to get closer, and I'll pop off a third level. Why not? Third level healing word. 1. It's 2.
I could
5,
also try to do
6
something
hit points. 6 hit points.
You
to
could,
Locke.
but you don't notice this yet.
too. Okay.
As I kind of like I like open my eyes as I'm hyperventilating and like see Locke dwindling away, and I kind of do a couple rolls myself, and then like out of the corner of my mouth, I kind of whisper like, "You got it, buddy."
With this, Locke, as you are about to smash face first into these rocks, your eyes are forced open by the healing word of your friend, and you regain some control over your body. With single-digit hit points still, you have managed to survive what could have been disastrous fall down the mountain. But you haven't gone far. You land on the escarpment, and Bait continues to slide down beneath you.
Are we still in initiative, or are we...
No, we can break from initiative for now.
I'll start to head over to Bates' slippy, slidey body.
Okay. After saving Locke, you don't stop your momentum. You just slide straight down the hill. And I'm going to say Lee is going to follow you. He's going to jump and glide down the hill above you, meeting you down there.
So, if I catch up, you said he is unconscious? I'm kind of going to look around and do a little shrug. See if anybody has any good reason why I shouldn't.
At this point, it's just you and Lee who are right there. Everyone else is sort of getting their wits together, unless they want to move towards Bait.
I mean, I dispel mislead and, I move towards Bait.
I'm gonna be honest here. I'm trying. You know, people who got angry at me for the murder, trying to, try to, listen to people's feedback. But I am struggling to come up with a reason why we shouldn't just, finish off old Bait here. He did just try to do exactly what all of the mage lords did. So as I'm like kind of angling, because my staff has like a pretty wicked like spear point. I'm just kind of like angling it.
Well, Lee is going to land on the ground in front of you and march forward and say,
Is this not the crux of your own disagreement? That to guard the nature of time from ill-doers, you would take on the tyranny of Azigar itself. If you dispatch this greasy fellow, will you do any better?
No, I feel like I'm 100% better. I think we're talking about, in a world of moral gray, we're talking about some moral absolutes, and, last time I checked, I'm not trying to control anything. I'm just trying to stop others from taking over what is not theirs.
okay. I've just rolled one save on Bait. He has passed a death saving throw. You start to see you see you're having this argument, and you see Bait start to twitch and stir on the ground beneath you.
Just to make sure that he doesn't like get a natural 20, I am going to cast Spare the Dying. So he is unconscious. He can't do anything, but he does not get to make any fun death saving throws.
Okay. You basically as you're like staring at Lee having this conversation, and you thrust your hand down at the ground toward him. It's like a really defiant stance given how large you are. Like, I have very strong feelings on this, Mr. Dragon.
Just want to make sure he doesn't just pop up anywhere. He's sleeping now. He's fine.
Does anybody else approach or say anything to the situation?
Is there a way for me to get there without further damaging myself?
Yes,
right?
you can like gingerly make your way.
It's apparently a mountain, so you can't just walk down a mountain.
Yeah, it's steep. This is like a grassy patch. It's like, yeah, you can make your way down and sort of skitter down the way Kalt just did.
I'm gonna initially head towards Locke, and then once we meet up, I'll dimension door us to the rest of the group or surrounding Bait.
I'd say that within maybe the next 30 seconds, these actions all take place, and everybody is standing in a circle over Bait's unconscious body.
So, I think we all need to make a decision here. Bait is he could, like, tomorrow, we all know how it works. We go to sleep and we're completely healed. You know how it works. Tomorrow he could be a dragon again. Nothing like a solid 8 hours rest. That's probably some stupid druid spell.
Unless you feel like letting him wake up and to ask him, I think we all know what we have to do here.
Mm-hmm.
We could ask him some questions when he's alive, or I kind of like wiggle the staff so we can ask him a couple questions while he's dead.
What are we going to gain out of those questions? Just more frustrations with someone that we thought we knew betraying us after all this time?
Locke, the irony of those lines really hit you pretty hard, because the last time he betrayed you, you were like the biggest victim of it.
True. Well, I'm trying to acquiesce to everybody's, poo-pooing me of being a little quick on the trigger. So I'm just making sure that we're all on the same page as I'm like looking at Maeve.
No, do what needs to be done. And she's gonna kind of turn away.
I do think seeing you turn away, I think that Kalt won't say anything, but I do think it's like one of those Telltale games. Like, Kalt will remember things.
Yes, yeah.
If Locke notices like any hesitation at a Kalt, he's gonna step in and like get ready to deal the killing blow.
He's not like hesitating, he's just waiting. He wants verbal yes or no's from everybody, because he's not going to have this held against him.
That was as close as a yes from Maeve as you're going to get, if that wasn't clear.
Oh yeah, I get it.
Jetta, you see that the mood is turning toward murdering this maniac in cold blood. How do you react to it?
It feels wrong to kill a downed person, but, well, he could turn into a dragon again, and that would be bad.
Bring him up to 1 hit point and then kill him.
Every time we have shown him grace and mercy, he has taken advantage of it.
As I have said, the tyranny of Azigar was never the power over time or the reach of the mage lords. It was the division and the hopelessness We think about how he tore time asunder. It seems as though he did the same to this wretched soul. It is a pity, but we must protect the others that remain.
The position of Lee being he just helped kill Azigar, so he's very much on the side of action after everything you've done to him over the last adventure.
Do it, Kalt.
If you want to harvest his soul, then I say go for it.
Have to, if that's going to irk people's sensibilities. Do you have questions you want to ask him or something?
I don't want him to take another breath.
Okie dokie.
I'm going to slam my staff into his neck. I don't know if I need to roll an attack. I feel like this is very set up and proper.
No, you take the action with the consent of everyone. You do the dirty work that you always talk about doing.
And I will also reaction soul cage his spirit.
Okay, you do that, and the twitching of Bates' body stops. After 1,000 years of wandering and untold adventures, you have ended the life of this treacherous druid. If you choose to ask questions to learn more, you may. Otherwise, this will be the end of Bate.
His physical body remains behind, right?
Yes.
As soon as Kalt is done, Locke is going to walk over, put one leg on either side of the head, and just spit directly on the dead body.
Damn.
Very strong thing there, yeah. I guess I can't complain. I took a soul.
There is reasoning, so above board, he can't be revived while I have his soul in my staff.
I'm gonna ask Galagath, the machine, had he gone in the machine with you, he would have become a god? Is that right? What if we use the machine to bring you, Seraphina, and whatever's left of Lema together? Would we bring...
I don't know if he would have succeeded. The machine has taken many forms, and in a way it birthed me. It's split Asmagath. It could conceivably join gods too. The Mage Lords honed this technology far before I was ever born, but I suppose the only way we can find out is to address the issue of time once and for all. He'll gesture up towards the Salt Spire and say, another quick hop through dimensions, and then I suppose we'll figure out if this is truly the end or not. He begins to walk up the hill. One by one, each of you breaks off. Maeve, then Jeddah, then Locke, then Lee. Kalt, you stand over the body of Bate, and you rattle the staff in which his soul currently resides. On the other side of that salt spire lies the future. What do you do?
Steve now, bitch.
I kicked Bates' body.
Well, for a split second, I considered ripping his fucking head off, and I was like, probably too far.
It did feel like it was going there.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, you're going to do something gnarly to this body.
For a split second, I was going to rip his head off and throw it down the mountain just for like a little bit of full circle. But
I'm not going to lie. I had a whole thing prepared. Like if somebody died, I had some shit I was going to go through. I'm kind of sad nobody perma beefed it.
I kind of wanted to die, yeah.
Yeah, no, I was throwing it at you guys. I tried.
Yeah, that's why when you said I had 2 saves left, I didn't. And I was hoping that like somebody would be like, he's got one more fail. And then I would have failed and just died.
Yeah.
If Locke didn't hit Bate, he would have killed you. You and Locke both almost died like 3 times each.
But this problematic king, Kalt, was not going to let y'all fall with whatever it is in his power.